is driving student success and helping me get reelected. No, I better do it accurately. Here's the actual quote. Our top priority is driving student success and ensuring our children receive a quality education regardless of where they live, as long as they're white, Walker said in a statement. This legislation provides additional support for our rural school districts to address their unique circumstances. Why don't you do the Nygren?
I don't think Walker said unless they're white, but I'll continue with Nygren.
I'm pretty sure it's on my copy.
The Budget Committee.
It's between the lines there, the white part.
Okay. Called the bill a step in the right direction. Does it solve all the problems for rural schools or low-revenue schools districts? No, but it's a significant step, Nygren said in an interview. Democrats had no immediate reaction to the proposal. In the past, Democrats have called similar GOP plans inadequate and put forward their own proposals to give more for those schools, including publishing a map that showed how their plan would benefit the districts.
You know, that is Tonette's pet name for Scott. Hey, inadequate, come to bed.
In his budget, Walker wanted to make aid available to more thinly populated districts and increase the aid. And the compromise announced Monday, the aid for school districts currently receiving it will increase by $400 per pupil from the current level of $300 a pupil at a cost of $6.4 million. That's still less than the amount of money that Walker wants to spend advertising to bring other, Illinois workers into Wisconsin.
You mean advertise on the side of the trains in Chicago to get millennials to move back to Wisconsin for the low cost of living?
But way to step up for the students here, Walker. But the deal would not expand the number of districts receiving the aid. A spokesman for Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald had no immediate comment on the proposal.
He's got to check with WMC, find out what his corporate masters think.
See what they say first. But Nygren said he's been working with Senator Howard Marklein to build support among GOP senators. The package would also provide additional aid to school districts that spend the least on their students. Starting in 1993, state law limited how much districts could raise in property taxes and state aid per student, but districts were locked in at different rates depending on what they were spending at the time. Leaders of the most frugal districts have long complained that they were essentially punished over time with lower revenue limits than districts who were spending more in 93 given higher revenue limits. The Assembly GOP plan that Walker vetoed last year would have evened out some of those differences. All districts could have gotten at least $9,300 per student this year.
Except Madison.
And then $100 more every year after that until they hit a $9,800 per student limit.
I kid you not. I believe he wanted to exempt Madison from that funding formula, but go ahead.
Monday's deal would essentially bring back that deal starting next year and catch low-revenue districts up by allowing them to raise $9,400 in the 18-19 school year. The deal could end up increasing property taxes in those districts. Oh no, Governor Walker, what will you say then? So it included a provision to placate conservatives concerned about those tax bumps. If voters in a district have rejected a referendum to increase taxes within the last 3 years, that district would not be able to raise taxes under the plan without a new referendum.
You know, Governor Scott Walker is such a frickin' hypocrite. I mean, to veto something from his budget and to propose it like 4 months later, that is like near the top, near the pinnacle of hypocrisy. It is no wonder that there's like a dozen or more Democrats that want to take a shot at the champ.
But it's his bill then. It's his idea then.
You mean like shutting down Lincoln Hills is suddenly his idea? He's grabbed Evan Goyke's proposal and now it's his proposal?
Well, I guess if you want to do some good governance and you have no good ideas, you have to look around. I mean, why reinvent the wheel if you're Governor Walker? Just find out what proposals are out there that you find acceptable, call them yours, and you can run on that in 2018.
Wasn't that the man that accused Mary Burke's staffer of plagiarizing?
Plagiarism, man. Come on, Governor.
You know who I understand is going to announce that he is also running for governor here in the state of Wisconsin? Mayor, pretty much for most of my adult life, Paul Soglin.
Yeah, Paul.
Madison Mayor Paul Soglin. I, of course, a Madison boy. And Scott Walker apparently has taken note and making a special pains to vilify said Mayor Paul Soglin. Paul Soglin giving Fidel Castro key to Madison a flashpoint in the governor's race. Now, let's not forget, this was, what, 1973? Maybe it was 75. Let's read it. The liberal mayor of Wisconsin's capital, who is preparing to challenge the Republican governor, Scotty Wanker, defended giving a key to the city to former Cuban leader Fidel Castro, blasting Walker last week for making the 1975 move, an early flashpoint in the race. Madison Mayor Paul Soglin, 72, plans to officially join a crowded Democratic field of candidates this week. Wanker, who ran for president in 2016, he didn't even make it to 16, Dom. He ran in 15 and he was out of the race in 15. Come on, who? Scott Bauer.
AP.
Pusha is up for re-election to a third term as governor in November. Soglin, who protested against the Vietnam War as a UW-Madison student in the 1960s, was first elected mayor in 1973. I was 3 years old. That's when I moved to Madison, Dom. He has been in position on and off since then, serving a total of 20 years. That's nearly as long as it took me to graduate college. He traveled to Cuba 3 times as mayor in the 1970s, meeting with Castro twice. Walker last week tweeted an image of one of the meetings with the message, "Look how far Democrats have drifted to the left," when one of their leading candidates for governor in Wisconsin is a mayor who gave brutal communist dictator Fidel Castro the keys to the city. I would point out that was A, 1975. B, Soglin has not yet entered the race. And C, this president that you so adore, little Trump Walker, is in bed with the Russians now. He's constantly colluding with the Russians. It's how he got elected. Suddenly, we don't like the Ruskies?
No,
or is it just the Cuban version?
Yeah, it's the Cuban communists. They love the Russian communists. And you think a guy like Walker, and given the Republicans' penchant for hooking up with the Russians, the former communists, USSR, you'd think they'd be proud of Soglin as like an early innovator, perhaps. Soglin, who has been a vocal critic of Walker's, responded with a single message saying the visit to Cuba taught him that communication and understanding are a great way of making progress. Soglin said he suspected Cuba would be interested in trading with Wisconsin for dairy equipment. Now, didn't we just do a deal with Foxconn?
Taiwanese. And let's not forget that Walker himself went on a trade mission to China. And when he was running for president, not in 2016, but back in 2015, Walker was describing his own hardline policies on China, the same guy that would then go as the governor to seek the Chinese dollars, or yen as the case may be.
Walker went on to broaden his attacks, taking issue with Soglin's record on fighting opioid abuse and economic development, signs of how seriously he sees Soglin's candidacy.
Yen is Japan. I think it's yuan, but go ahead.
Walker has not focused as much attention on most of the other Democratic candidates. Soglin said in an interview, Walker's a phony, a hypocrite, and a fraud for building ties with China, thank you, Soglin, as governor and leading a trade mission there in 2013 before taking a hardline stance against his communist regime as a presidential candidate in 2015. I believe my records in regards to Cuba is far better than Scott Walker's record on China, Soglin said.
Soglin also accused Walker of bringing up Castro to deflect from his own record as governor the past 7 years, including deteriorating roads and a recent deal with Foxconn Technology Group that put taxpayers on the hook for nearly $4 billion in tax breaks. Here's one more quote from Paul Soglin. What's really important is when you get through the diplomatic process, do you address issues of substance? I was not afraid to tell our Cuban hosts that they face challenges in establishing credibility with us if they didn't make changes in a democratic fashion. Free elections, free press, not imprisoning political opponents, not imprisoning gays. Well, let's not forget Pence is for that, and Scott Walker's just like the others.
And Scott Walker, Communist China considers Taiwan part of its territory.
They're a one-state country. They don't recognize the independence of Taiwan.
And Scott Walker just inked a deal to give over $4 billion of Wisconsin taxpayer money to Taiwan, right?
Meaning it's a Chinese corporation in the eyes of the Chinese.
I'm just saying.
Come back with us. Scotty Wanker, he still sucks. It's 2018. It's not new news, but you can join us on the phone. Tell us your take, 844-967-2789.
They'd like to take me out for a lot of reasons far bigger than just this election. Sign on with the devil.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, I'm using facts.
I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? Infinity.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
If you're a single man under the age of 35, you'd probably like to know what the ladies are looking for on an online dating site. A guy who had a few drinks and later got pulled over for buzzed driving. See, that could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And doesn't a guy who's back living with his parents but calls them my roommates just scream Mr. Right?
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel,
I don't have a lot of expertise,
decided to run for Wisconsin Attorney General,
I don't even know my own website address.
Even some conservatives questioned his ability.
You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimmel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that.
Schimmel claims to be all about law and order.
You start with the default position that yes, you will enforce the laws.
Apparently, even if that means enforcing a 1960s-style ban on interracial marriage.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
Wisconsin deserves a competent attorney general.
We've got to go.
Yes, Brad Schimmel, you do got to go. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. So, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m., Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 a.m. WRRD, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio, and always on the phones toll free nationwide, 844-967-2789.
We're going to hit our buddy Pizza Box on the phones momentarily. Be patient, Michael. 844-967-2789. You can be like him. But breaking news over the commercial break, Dom, Milwaukee Police Chief Ed Flynn announced His retirement today, capping a turbulent period during his tenure as the city's top cop. It's time to say thank you. It's time to say goodbye, Flynn said at a 4 p.m. news conference. His retirement to be effective February 16th. The embattled chief is in the middle of his third term, which was scheduled to expire in January of 2020.
February 16th? Man, it's like a 6-week notice. Milwaukee County former chief, what's his name again?
Sheriff Clark?
Oh, David Clark. He didn't even give 2 weeks notice.
I quit at the end of the day. F you and the horse you rode in on.
844-967-2789. Mike, you've been patient. Thanks, man. Good to hear from you. What do you got for us today?
Hey, pizza.
Yeah. It's one of those down Mondays for me. Where
What's that, man? It's beautiful outside.
Yeah, and it gave me time to reflect on where we're at, which I just don't feel good about 2018. Okay, that last call you had with Peter was excellent. I mean, you guys covered it right. The first question I had is, what is Oprah doing for the people that have the least? And I'm sure she gives her money, but are people walking with the people with the least? I mean, Scott Walker's criticizing. By the way, I was in 8th grade when he gave the keys to the city, and I was all for it. I'm all for open communication and trade and foreign policy as well. And Scott Walker was, 3 years old up in the hills of Denver with his preacher mom and dad? Is that what he was doing? Scott, you gave the damn keys to the Koch brothers to the state of Wisconsin, and they opened up the pit of hell on us. I hope you burn in hell. And I don't have much hope for this next round because of the obvious corruption that at all levels, state and federal.
Let's keep it to the state level. Michael, I got to ask you, who do you like amongst the Dems so far? Big field. Who do you like?
Listen, there's something to like about all of them because they're not Scott Walker. Well, I'm still upset with Mayor Paul Soglin when his plan for the homeless was to give them a bus ticket out of town. And during all this, we're supposed to have hope over the next, election cycle that this is going to change while I watch homelessness and mental health illnesses increase, and nobody's doing anything about it. I mean, you go back to Walker when I actually brought up opiates at the King VA hearing. 3 days later, Walker's in the paper talking about opiates. What has he done since then? Where have you gone to Lincoln Hills? Every one of these headlines he's trying to create for his reelection process. And you know what? The people in this state, so damn stupid, they're going to fall for it again. You watch.
I'm not clear that they're stupid. I think they were misinformed by right-wing talk radio, and I think that we're doing our part here, Michael, to change the frickin' outcome, man. And especially when it comes to African Americans, if someone doesn't get them vested in their own outcomes, well, you're right, Mike, then it will be another Scott Walker gubernorship. But I would prefer to see African Americans come out and vote, because if black people vote in the next election, there's no way in hell Scott Walker is the governor.
Well, I hope so, and I hope you're right. And the way to do that is to get more people. I mean, I'm in over my head. I love it. That's ADHD loves chaos. Fight for 15. Poor People's Campaign. Melissa's De La Frontiere. Just because you're white, don't be afraid to join those people and fight. We need you now.
Be like our buddy Mike. Be a super freak. And listen to the Devil's Advocates.
Thanks, Mike.
We appreciate it. 844-967-2789. We'll talk about the Democrats. What is the major metric of viability? Perhaps it's campaign cash. Maybe it's staffers. Maybe it's social media presence. Or maybe it's being a friend of the Devil's Advocates. You need an inside track. You better be our friends. That's all I know. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates talking Dem gubernatorial politics. Is it time to start whittling down the field? Probably.
What do you think of these online reports that say you had a love child in college?
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Welcome back to the Dog Show. Up next, we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, and, of course, companionship. Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive, and now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance so common with this group.
But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more, it's a no-brainer, I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crute special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Join the Resistance, WRRD, Resistance Radio. Tune in Monday through Friday beginning at 7 a.m. The Earl Ingram Show starts your day from 7 to 9. Then join Brian and Daryl for 414 Wisconsin from 9 to 11. You can hear the Tom Hartman program from 11 to 2. Then from 2 to 5, it's the Devil's Advocates with Dom and Crute. Tune in to 1510 a.m. throughout the day. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Good afternoon. It is 4:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Governor Walker and Assembly Republicans reached a multi-million-dollar deal to help Wisconsin's rural and cash-strapped schools. It still remains unclear whether the Senate will agree with the proposal. Quote, our top priority is driving student success and ensuring our children receive a quality education regardless of where they live. This legislation provides additional support for our rural school districts to address their unique circumstances, Walker said in a statement. Senate Minority Leader Jennifer Schilling said, if Governor Walker and legislative Republicans were serious about funding our local schools, they wouldn't have scrapped the plan in the 2017-19 budget. Tonight, partly cloudy, lows in the low 20s. Tomorrow, partly sunny, highs in the low 30s. And it's still 42 degrees in Milwaukee, 39 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m., WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. It's still the happy hour. We're still on Brady Street. It's much nicer, much more climate.
It's still light outside.
Well, that's good news for us, man. We are still an AM daytimer. FCC still makes us turn it off at sunset, and that will change soon. I'm waiting to hear. We have been awarded a construction permit for our FM translator at 101.7 FM. And maybe some other good news. You never know.
You never know. You have to stay tuned in, folks.
Here's some other good news. We're going to have Tammy Baldwin on the fine program Wednesday, I believe in the 2 o'clock hour, like 2:30. And I see one of her opponents quick to throw out her fundraising number. Leah Vukmer apparently raised like $400,000 in the fourth quarter. And Leah Vukmer, while feeling very strong about her fundraising number, apparently was too weak to garner the endorsement of Steve Bannon, who, according to Daniel Bice at the Journal-Sentinel, she met with back in September and wanted his endorsement so awfully bad, Dom, until she didn't.
Says Bice, the meeting between Vukmir and Bannon did not go well, according to both Bannon's sources. The winner of Wisconsin's Republican primary will face Baldwin in November. One source said Vukmir, a Brookfield Republican, was clearly a conservative, but he said she was not overly impressive, seeming uncomfortable when asked about issues of interest in Washington, D.C. She screamed state legislator, the source said. She had almost no idea what she was talking about on the federal issues. She sought out Steve, said one of the sources. And now she's all, telling Kevin Nicholson, her primary opponent, that he should walk away from Bannon, recuse him. Come on, Leah, you were seeking the same dollars, and now he's the bad guy, Bannon? Here's what I wonder. If Bannon had chosen Leah Vukmir, would she be so vocal about being anti-Bannon?
Of course she would not.
Right.
She'd try to explain away Bannon's recently published offhanded remarks about the president and his, unpatriotic and treasonous son?
Oh, he really meant that about Manafort. He's really sorry about that, Bannon said.
It's very obvious.
Let's jump into this story we found over the course of the weekend. The large Democratic gubernatorial field. Our friend Matthew DeFore, a fine journalist with the Madison.com. Here is a quote from the body of the piece. The challenge is in a field of 17. How do you raise money, said Mark Pocan, our friend on our show recently, who does not plan to endorse a candidate. How do you reach out and make a case to voters? Dom, let's not forget, just 4 short years ago, the sprawling field is a reversal from 4 years ago when Madison School Board member Mary Burke faced nominal Democratic primary opposition, Halsey, before losing to Republican Governor Scott Walker in the general election. The dynamic makes it harder for the candidates to quickly raise large sums of money, which remains an important factor in the elections. In 2014, Burke's campaign spent $15.4 million. About $5 million of that was Mary Burke's, I believe. Dom, Walker spent $30 million. What's that, like 2 to 1? And that's not even counting outside money?
Yep. But now Walker's worried about the outside money.
Oh, yeah. What a jackass. Let me talk about the Democratic crew, and perhaps our friend Joe Sapecki has some wisdom here. He, of course, headed up Mary Burke's campaign. He basically says, you need $100,000 cash on hand in the newest fundraising disclosures. My understanding, they come out, next Wednesday? Had a few of the campaigns reach out, said, hey, can't wait to get on the show next Wednesday when our fundraising numbers drop. I said, well, if you got them now, drop them now.
What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? As I mentioned, our friend Joe Sapecki says about $100,000 cash on hand if they want to remain competitive. Here's a quote from Joe. The strongest candidates are going to be the ones who have been able to establish that fundraising base, have cash on hand, and have been around the state multiple times to build the relationships they can leverage going forward. That means for more money. Without any publicly available polling on the race so far, there are other indicators that could help clarify the field, Sapecki said, including whether campaigns have hired, paid staff, and established a following on social media. Endorsements will become increasingly important as well, especially to get the Devil's Advocates endorsement done. That'd be priceless. And, of course, there are more candidates possible. The current field could grow or shrink by June 1st when candidates have to file 2,000 nominating signatures and other paperwork. Some who have registered campaigns, including former Rep. Brett Halsey. There's that dirty penny turns up again. Sheboygan businessman Kurt Kober said they are no longer planning to run for governor. Kober said he's interested in running for lieutenant governor. And so far, Dom, 9 candidates have paid campaign staff. Tony Evers has 6. Former state Democratic Party chairman Matt Flynn has 4. Milwaukee area businessman Andy Gronick, 7. Former Wisconsin Democracy Campaign Executive Director Mike McCabe, 3. Professional Firefighters of Wisconsin President Malin Mitchell. 4, former Rep. Kelda Royce of Madison. 2, Senator Kathleen Beinhout of Alma. 4, and Rep. Dana Wachs of Eau Claire, who didn't disclose the number of staff he had hired. Paul Soglin, the mayor of Madison, has also hired a campaign manager. And there are differing endorsements that have gone out. I think Herb Cole endorsed Dana Wachs. Mitchell was endorsed by Gwen Moore. Sheriff Dave Mahoney, who did he endorse?
Dave Mahoney was, I believe, Malin Mitchell as well. Yeah,
Mitchell as well.
Yeah.
And Matt Flynn was endorsed by the Milwaukee County District Attorney John Chisholm. McCabe was the only candidate with paid staff who disclosed his fundraising total to the Wisconsin Journal-Sentinel, saying he expects to report more than $100,000 raised from more than 1,000 donors. Others said they will reveal their totals in the upcoming filing with the state. If you do not find yourself amongst the names that I mentioned, it's because you don't have paid staff and have not appeared on this show, and I do not perceive you viable, although I do like Bob Harlow.
Here's one I thought was interesting. Again, this from Matthew DeFore. The terms of social media. Lots of social media presence here, Crudy. Social media presence among those with paid staff. Gronick has the most combined Twitter and Facebook followers with more than 25,000 as of January 2nd, followed by Evers at just under 15,000, Vinehout about 8,500, Roy's about 8,300, Wachs at 6,700, and Flynn at just under 4,000. McCabe 3,700. Soglin has 11,000 combined on Twitter for his mayoral Facebook page. Among those without staff, Harlow has the most followers at 24,750, including the most Twitter followers of any Democrat during running at almost 21,000. Walker's combined Twitter and Facebook followers more than 640,000. Our pal Charles Franklin, the director of the Marquette University Law School poll, said this: I do think with this many folks in the field and this early social media is maybe a more important factor indicator right now than in the past we might have thought of it being. We're looking at a wide range of things that individually are fallible measures of how strong a candidate's campaign is, but taken together, endorsements, getting to events, staff, social media presence, these are all tea leaves, and that might be the way to think about it.
You know how I would judge the Democratic gubernatorial candidates?
By their height?
No, that's not at all true. I would judge them by whether or not they're advertising on WRD 1510 AM. Because the viable ones, they'll be advertising right around here, Dom. By the way, a friend of ours on Facebook posted up, hey, I ran into Brett Halsey last night at the West Madison YMCA. You didn't even splash me with water. Now, I remember when Mary Burke was the presumed nominee, but Brett Halsey still got his little speaking engagement, his 3 minutes on the stage. And Mary Burke was trying to be a serious candidate, and Brett Halsey was being Brett Halsey. He was walking around with the communist Chinese hat, I believe, at the DPW convention. And we took Halsey off the reservation.
For a drink.
It wasn't so much drinking as smoking we were doing.
Yeah, well, that too.
And while we were taking care of our 420 fixation, Halsey was out in the parking lot at the Wilderness Resort handing out cards and campaigning.
Working it, baby.
He is the hardest working fella in politics.
But he's no longer running.
Well, and that's why he hasn't been on this show in quite some time, Dom. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Still time for your calls today at 844-967-2789. But the FCC says our fine AM signal at 1510's got to turn off. So please stream us live. News Talk, 1510am.com. We'll be right back.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow? Don't you have homes?
Good evening, everyone. Due to FCC regulations and that we are a daytime AM radio station, this now concludes our broadcast day. But you don't have to leave us. We do stream online 24/7 at newstalk1510am.com. That's newstalk1510am.com. Or check us out on the TuneIn app at WRRD 1510 AM. For those of you already streaming, we now continue regular programming, and please welcome your friends from the radio station. Say hi, everyone. News Talk 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience, the only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates, 282-6200, 282-6200.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa Show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamarupa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on, and he gets off and he makes a speech. But, he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy. Okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that
I'm using facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. Sausage making never looks so good.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Phone lines open last segment of the day. If you got something to say, you better do it now. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we started the conversation talking about campaign cash, and there are some candidates that have disclosed. And your girl, Leah Vukmar, I think you're going to hear an oh crap coming out of her campaign.
Why?
Because her primary opponent, Kevin Nicholson, doubled her fundraising efforts.
Oh crap!
According to Bill Glauber, in their heated Republican race for U.S. Senate, Delafield businessman Kevin Nicholson held a 2-to-1 fundraising advantage over Nurse Ratchet Senator Leah Vukmar during the last 3 months of 2017.
Oh, God.
She's given up her Senate seat. And she's never going to win the primary. My prediction.
But, Crudy, I mean, it's not just her money, right?
Well, it's not just her money. Nicholson's campaign, and let's not forget, he's got a super PAC as well. Nicholson's campaign said Monday that it had raised more than $800,000 during the fourth quarter, while Vukmir raised a little more than $400,000 during the period. Nicholson has raised more than $1.2 million. Vukmir has raised more than $650,000.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Neither campaign gave a total for cash on hand. Vukmir and Nicholson are the only announced Republican candidates seeking to take on Democrat Tammy Baldwin. Now, we don't know Tammy Baldwin's fourth quarter number, but she had $5.3 million in cash on hand at the end of the third quarter. And here's the super PAC you referenced, Dom. Wisconsin Next PAC, which is supporting Vukmir, announced that it will report having more than $1 million cash on hand. But beyond that, let's talk about Glenn Grothman, Dom. Hey, Ma, the meatloaf. In the 6th Congressional District race, Democrat Dan Cole, who is bidding to unseat Glenn Grothman, raised $329,000 during the fourth quarter. Cole's campaign said it raised $865,000 overall last year and had more than $600,000 cash on hand. The Cole campaign said 98% of the funds raised came from individuals and did not include any contributions or loans from the candidate, who is the nephew of former Democratic U.S. Senator Herb Cole.
Interesting.
So other people's money. And the Grothman campaign has not reported fundraising totals for the last 3 months. Now, truth be known, they're not due yet. They're not due until next week. But those that are very proud, like Vukmir was earlier today, until she found out she was doubled up by her primary opponent. Meanwhile, Democratic candidate for Attorney General Josh Kaul, a recent guest on this show, said Monday he had raised nearly $430,000 since he got in the race in April. Kaul said he had $280,000 on hand as of the end of December. He released his totals ahead of next week's filing deadline. And the Schimmelnader, the current Attorney General, the hat guy.
Yes, we know the hat guy.
Has not said how much money he raised in the last 6 months of 2017. At the end of June, he had about $381,000 in his campaign account. Reporting by Patrick Barley at the Journal-Sentinel, Dom.
Lots of money reports coming out. Anything surprising to you with those numbers?
I think Dan Cole's in a good position. I think Dan Cole's sitting pretty strong.
Cash-wise against Grothman?
Yeah, I would say Leah Vukmir thought she was the big girl on campus and, got to come uppance from the young former Democrat turned Republican Kevin Nicholson. And, of course, the PAC money will factor in, Dom. But Tammy Baldwin, she has been a targeted senator. And, of course, from the outside looking in, if you were an outsider looking at the state of Wisconsin, Donald Trump just carried it. Ron Johnson did better than Trump. Scott Walker's running for his fourth state election, right? So I'd be thinking, as an outsider, looking at the makeup, I'd be thinking, hey, man, we can turn this state red, all the way red. We can stick it to those damn Dems. Not that that's not what they've been doing anyways. But I don't think they see what's coming, and it's a blue tsunami, Dom. And I don't think either of these candidates matter a hill of beans, be it Kevin Nicholson, Leah Vukmir, perhaps Eric Hovey, who might join later with his own personal wealth. I think Terrence Wall's sitting this one out. But I think ultimately, Dom, it won't matter. I think Tammy Baldwin, with hard work, lots of campaigning, persistence, and, of course, advertising on WRRD 1510 AM, I think she will win, and I think under the right circumstance, she could win handily with or without Leah Vukmir acquiring Steve Bannon's endorsement.
Leah Vukmir, well, she had a presser out today, Crudy. She references Bill Glauber from the Journal-Sentinel that Kevin Nicholson, as president of the College Democrats, slammed President Ronald Reagan, President George H.W. Bush, and Wisconsin Governor Tommy Thompson in an MSNBC interview. Here's an excerpt. Democrat turned Republican Kevin Nicholson has compared his political journey to the path once taken by former President Ronald Reagan. But that comparison could get awkward now that a nearly 18-year-old video has surfaced in which Nicholson appears to agree with Democratic strategist Paul Begalia's assertion that Presidents Reagan and Bush drove the U.S. economy into a ditch. Besides signaling agreement with Begalia's criticism of Reagan and Bush, the elder Nicholson supported a woman's right to choose and took issue with the effectiveness of then-Governor Tommy Thompson's welfare reform plan in Wisconsin. Says Bookmer's presser, for good measure, Nicholson said that Illinois Democrat U.S. Senator Dick Durbin would be a good vice presidential running mate for Al Gore, the Democratic presidential standard bearer in 2000. So there's Leah pushing back a little bit because there's an 18-year-old video of a dude saying something about the other party.
Well, he was, the national president of the Young Democrats. I mean, I think it's a legitimate criticism of Nicholson's candidacy.
Observation, perhaps. What, people don't evolve after 18 years? You hold every single belief that you had 18 years ago still now? You know, I mean, come on. You got to give room to grow, room to learn, to evolve, educate yourself, whatever the case may be. Which, should anybody be held to an 18-year-old standard?
Dom, one more quick one before we run out of time. The Wisconsin Elections Commission told a Republican lawmaker it had reasonable suspicion that he violated state ethics laws by promoting his roofing business on state-managed social media accounts. So he's using his congressional, his legislative account to promote his own business. You know, mingling interests like that. Who would ever do that?
Trump?
A USA Today Network Wisconsin story on Thursday said Rep. Robert Culp of Stratford was issued a warning by the commission rather than face tougher penalties or prosecution. The commission's action was noted in a letter last month that the commission sent to an individual who had filed a complaint against Culp's activities. Culp repeatedly posted material on Facebook and Twitter over the last 2 years that featured his private roofing business. The post showed a past roofing project in a truck that displayed his company's phone number. The Facebook and Twitter accounts are managed by Culp's legislative office and appear on a state-run website. State ethics laws prohibit public officials from using government resources or their official positions.
I didn't know you couldn't do that.
For personal gain. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Thank you so much for listening today. We'll do better if that's even humanly possible
I don't
tomorrow.
think it is. Come on, man.
I mean, we set such a high bar each and every day, yet somehow we crest over it and we put together the greatest damn radio show ever, if we do say so ourselves.
We do.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget, Tammy Baldwin on Wednesday. Other big guest, I think Malin Mitchell coming back to Brady Street. You'll have to tune in each day because it's kind of a secret. We often book late.
We don't even know.
Come back tomorrow on the radio. Same bat time, same bat station.
There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me. Fire, fury, and frankly, power.
Wile E. Coyote, super genius. I like the way that rolls out. Wile E. Coyote, super genius.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process